Hello everyone. Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. We have visitors connected today who have logged in from different parts of the world. So a very warm welcome to all of you, especially to the ones who are connected from Europe and Americas. I would also take a moment to express sincere thanks to our representatives of Le Passage to India in Portugal, which is Carmo, in USA, which is Ilan, and in Italy, Nadia. Thank you very much for getting tour operators to come and listen to us about Tadoba. So before I talk a little about Tadoba, uh, allow me to tell you that I have two people to help me today, and these two people are very, very eminent personalities. These are the ones who have been instrumental in putting Tadoba on the wildlife map of India, and I would be asking them a couple of questions. But before that, allow me to quickly tell you what Tadoba is. So Tadoba is actually one of the 50 tiger reserves that we have in our country, which has a very, very healthy population of tigers. So these are the two eminent speakers. We have Sudeep, who represents a lodge called the Bamboo Forest Safari Lodge. And we have Aditya, who represents another property called Tiger Trails Jungle Lodge. These are the two properties that we work very closely with. And to tell us more about their properties, I would invite them to make a little presentation for all of us. But before that, I would just give you a little bio for both of them. Our first speaker today is Sudeep. Sudeep is a postgraduate in economics from University of Nottingham. He's a devoted conservationist. Professionally, he runs nature-based eco-reality projects, eco-wilderness hospitality properties, and is a pioneer in community-based nature conservances. His pioneering work in community-based nature conservances is now globally viewed as a proven tangible solution towards reforestation, community partnerships, poaching, and for mitigating human-animal conflicts in central Indian landscape. This has earned his team and him global recognition from leading environmentalists and conservationists across the globe. He is also the recipient of Certificate of Appreciation for his work in the field of conservation and wildlife tourism by the World Wilderness Congress early. Congratulations, Sudeep. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Our second speaker is Aditya. He's a naturalist and conservationist. He's a safari operator, he's a writer, nature tourism expert, a wild getaway deep inside tiger country, created on the principles of responsible tourism practices by habitat regeneration, improvement of underground water strata by groundwater harvesting. Participation of local people is the very finest example. Tourism can actually help rewild barren lands and are an example. He has very little introduction. I hope it gives you an idea about what Tadoba is all about. It's a complete park where, of course, there is a very good population of tigers, but it also has a lot of other wildlife to offer. So, the government of India had, in 1973, started an initiative called Project Tiger, under which they decided to preserve and work towards tiger conservation. The first national park in the country under this scheme was the Corbett National Park, which is in the north of New Delhi. It's in the foothills of Himalayas. Till date, we have 50 tiger reserves in the country, spanning the entire country. And one of the parks that we are going to talk about today is also one of these 50 parks. So as you can see in the map of India, there are tiger reserves literally all over the country. As I said, the Corbett Tiger Reserve was the first under Project Tiger scheme. The last one to be added, which was number 50, was a tiger reserve called Kamlang, which is in the northeast part of the country in a state called Arunachal Pradesh. Let's look at this now. In 2006, when the government did the census, we had 1,411 tigers in our country. In 2010, when the census happened again, the numbers had risen to 1706. In 2014, there was again an increase, and we had tripled to 2,226 tigers. Whereas the last census, which took place in 2018, and the results came out in 2019, had a very healthy population of 2,967, which is close to 3,000 tigers. Look at the states which have most number of tiger reserves. So the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh, which is right in the heart of our country, is in the middle of the geographic location of the country. Madhya Pradesh has 6 tiger reserves. All these 6 are very well known and very popular. And because the state is lucky to have or rich with these 6 national parks, it also has the maximum population of the tigers. Madhya Pradesh today look at the map on the left side of the screen. The area in shade in the middle of the country's map is Madhya Pradesh. It has 526 tigers to be precise. The next one is Karnataka. It is in the south of the country. The southern state of Karnataka has 524 tigers, whereas the state in the north, in the foothills of Himalayas, Uttarakhand, has 442 tigers. So these three states contribute as much as 50% of the tiger population in our country. There are these tiger reserves which have the maximum population of tigers. Corbett, again in the north of the country, has 208 tigers. Bandipur in the south of the country and its adjoining park called Nagarhole has 109 and 93 tigers respectively. Kahana and Bandhavgarh, two parks in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh, have 60 and 49 tigers respectively. And the park which we were going to talk about today is Tadoba in the state of Maharashtra, has 88 tigers. To be able to understand how Tadoba can be sold as part of the itineraries, there are some sample itineraries that we will discuss. But before that, here are some more interesting facts about this park. The total area of the park is 1727 square kilometer, which is a huge park, and it is a part of the Andheri Wildlife Sanctuary. So together they constitute 1727 square kilometer, and the park is open to visitors from October till June, like many other parks in the country. This is the sample itinerary. As you can see, people can arrive in Mumbai. They take a very short flight to Nagpur. From Nagpur, it's a short drive of under 3 hours to this beautiful park called Tadoba. From Tadoba, you don't have to go back to Nagpur. You can continue the journey and go to the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh to a beautiful park called Pench, which is connected with another park called Kahana. Then you can ride 4 hours to a place called Raipur, from where you can take a flight to Delhi. So this is the best of central Indian wildlife. This particular itinerary gives you an insight into India's wildlife in 3 different national parks: Tadoba in Maharashtra and Pench and Kahana in the neighboring state of Madhya Pradesh. The another itinerary that can be suggested is an itinerary called Stripes and Spots. This one is very good for photographers as well. People can come to India to see the tigers, which is in Tadoba, because tigers are more or less guaranteed there. And then they can go to a park called Kabini in the southern part of the country, where the population of leopards is very good. So if you have 4 or 5 nights each in both these parks, you have ample opportunities to shoot the big cats in India. The third itinerary that can be recommended is including 4 big national parks of central India. Tadoba, of course, combined with 3 parks in the Madhya Pradesh state called Pench, Kahana and Satpura. This itinerary can also be done in the reverse manner. Instead of arriving into Mumbai, you can arrive in Delhi and finish the tour in Mumbai. And itinerary also includes Agra, where people can spend a night to see Taj Mahal and other UNESCO heritage monuments. This is the end of the presentation. It was just an idea to show you what Tadoba is all about. And I would also request all of you to stay tuned for our other webinars which are coming up. We have a webinar coming up in 2 weeks from now on redefining luxury, followed by another one on wildlife, where we would talk about the wildlife in the southern Indian state of Karnataka in a park called Kabini. I will continue the presentation now and invite my fellow speakers to come and tell us about Tadoba a little bit. So my first question to our panelists is a very simple one. So Aditya and Sudeep, thank you very much for coming over today. A lot of people are connected now from all over the world, and it's a good platform for you to reach all of them. And it's a very good opportunity for them also to be able to listen to experts like you. So everyone knows Tadoba as a place where tigers roam freely. People are not asked after a safari if they saw a tiger or not. They're always asked how many tigers did they see. The answer often is they saw 4 or 5, 6, 7, or sometimes even 8. This is the only park where tigers are guaranteed. Though the government claims there are 88 tigers when they counted last in year 2018, how many tigers do you think there are officially as well as unofficially now? Okay, let's hear you, Sudeep, first. What's your take on this?
Well, Prabhat, to be honest, I mean, the last estimation that was released by the Forest Department, which was also a part of the Guinness record creating the largest camera trap wildlife survey that happened. So based on that estimation, along with the Forest Department, there are close to 115 adult tigers which are present in the nature reserve, in Tadoba Wildlife Reserve right now, along with over 150 leopards. Now, these are, it's pertinent to note here that these are tigers which we are only talking about, which are present in the reserve. And as we all estimate and we assume, as per the experience that we've had in Tadoba over the last years, that overall the Chandrapur district alone has close to 200 adult tigers, and not even looking at the cubs and the sub-adults alone. Now, that's generally what the 115 was the last number that actually came out officially. Besides that, we estimate it to be around somewhere around 200 tigers. So I would call Tadoba as probably the nursery of tigers currently.
Wow, that's very impressive. Very impressive. Aditya, I remember we were talking recently about this, and you said, the unofficial figures are much more. So, what is your guesstimate?
I agree with Sudeep. The new estimations are amazing, but it's more of a reality check to have a park which has 115 tigers, 150 leopards in a 1700 square kilometer landscape. It's a difficult job to manage. In terms of sightings, it's amazing. It's almost kind of guaranteed every time you go into the park. Some of our photography groups have seen in a week of safaris, of 13 safaris, they've seen 48 tiger sightings, and sighted
Wow.
18 individual tigers.
Right.
So, there is an immense density of tigers. It's literally 5 to 6 tigers per 100 square kilometers in the park, which is incredible. One tiger for every 15, 20 square kilometers is one of the highest densities in the country. And this tiger is actually spilling off into the buffer areas. So lodges like us, we get to see so many tigers within the lodge areas is because the density of tigers has also increased. But apart from the density, the prey density is also intact. So we have almost 40 prey species per square kilometer. That includes spotted deer, sambar, wild boar, gaur, chausinga, nilgai. So it's incredibly important to have about 100 prey species per tiger. So here, if you see, we have about 400 prey per tiger territory. If you say an average of 10 square kilometers to tiger territory, so it's a very fine balance, that nature creates between prey and predator, and that is what really Tadoba offers. It's a real wildlife viewing experience, at its best. It's a real world-class experience, for people who are selling wildlife, across the world, whether it's South America or it's in Africa or Southeast Asia like Borneo and all. Tadoba offers the same level of wildlife viewing experience as anywhere in the world. A lot of people say Africa might be good, but then in India, Tadoba really offers a world-class viewing experience, very good animal sighting, and a range of wildlife viewing opportunities.
Interesting, very interesting. So all of us are convinced about tiger population and very easy sightings. I mean, a tiger is guaranteed here, unlike in any other park in the country. In every park, I would say that, it's always a gamble. We send so many customers there. We say, let's go on a safari. We do our best to spot tigers. We also try to show them the other aspects of the park, because nobody wants really the tiger-centric tourism, because, that syndrome also is not really good for the wildlife tourism in India, because we want a jungle to be promoted for all its aspects. So while we are convinced, that there are 115 tigers and it's a complete ecosystem that exists, what about other aspects of a jungle, such as birds, other mammals, night safaris? Do you get to see any nocturnal animals? So could you throw some light on other things one can expect, not necessarily the tigers?
Yeah, so I mean, see, while the Tadoba has always been famous for the big cat, for the tigers,
Yeah.
there are a huge amount of other things that you can actually experience in the forest here. I mean, speaking of Tadoba alone, we get about close to 280 different bird species. We get about 54 reptile species. There are more than 80 mammals, amphibians, close to 75 different butterflies, the huge amount of flora species that are found in Tadoba. So there's a huge amount of things. So it's not just for people who are tiger-centric, or it's also for people who are nature-centric, for people who like to go into macro macro photography, for people who like to go to hopping, for people who like to go to nature walks and be able to see different kinds of flora species. All of those things are available in the forest. And it's when you come to night safaris, I mean, Tadoba is one of the few parks that have now started doing night safaris, and the nature walks and cycling and everything is being offered. You get huge amount of nocturnal species that you don't normally see in the day, whether it's a palm suet or honey badgers, and a lot of other wildlife like your jungle cats and your rusty spotted cat, which is the smallest wild cat in the world. So these are all available, and these features are available in Tadoba. There are a lot of things that you can do besides just tigers. There are a lot of other species that you can view in Tadoba besides just tigers. There's something for everybody. That's like Aditya said very, very correctly right at the beginning. It is a world-class experience. It's not just about tigers. It has something for everybody, whether you like to go for nature walks, whether you like to go for jungle safaris, whether you like to go for bird watching, whether you like to go for photography, whether you like to go for culture. There is something for everybody, for people who want to have a mixed experience, who want to have a mixed bag, whether they want to pair it up with tiger watching, whether they want to pair it up with general nature viewing, or even go for culture and other kind of things which are present around the landscape.
Interesting. Aditya, you want to add something here?
Yeah, I would actually like to add, some of our riparian habitats. Riparian habitats, especially, forests which are endemic with the presence of large water bodies, and they fuel the growth of the forest in that area. So, these kind of habitats have a fantastic bird life, small but rare birds like small pratincoal. I know you are a birder yourself, Prabhat, and you know how much this kind of sighting means to you. But, small pratincoals, gray-headed fish eagle, and everything in between, all the spot-billed ducks and the coots and everything, that's a real opportunity to do, I would say, birding in tiger country. And, it really provides a wholesome experience. We get a lot of, from the UK market, a lot of twitchers, who are extremely hardcore birders, but they also want their share of wildlife viewing, and big game and tigers, tigers in the water, tiger in golden light, and all sorts of stuff. So apart from tigers, I think bird watching is phenomenal in the park. The quality of sighting is fantastic. The opportunity to photograph these birds is quite, quite world class in Tadoba. And I feel apart from this, what we do like in the lodge is we provide a lot of opportunity to see wildlife up close in our hides. So we are not really dependent on the park ecosystem to provide us with these, but we have, kind of rolled out our own experience in the last 25 years of Tadoba. And, we provide you photographic hides, we provide you day hides, we provide you all night hides, which are en suite, which really ups the game. It provides you a real insight where you are no longer part of the wildlife ecosystem, but you're merely a visitor there. You're not part of the equation. You're not on a jeep, you're not on a boat, you're not on foot. So wildlife often ends up doing things that you will never be able to see otherwise, especially wildlife behaviors and how they catch flying birds, and stuff. So all this is might take you hours or days on jeep safari, but you can have these opportunities in hides, and so they are quite amazing to deliver for world-class clients.
Interesting. So, my third question is actually more or less on the same lines. I wanted to ask you that what are the other activities besides jeep safaris? You have already given so many options, but there are a lot of other parks, as you know, in Satpura, you can do a 3-night, 4-day, walk through it from one end to the another, and you do mobile camping, you spend the night and you do stargazing. Similarly, some other parks allow cycling, especially in Madhya Pradesh area. So if you have a customer, say for a 4-night stay or a 5-night stay, who is looking at a lengthy stay in your property, after you have done safaris for 2 days, you have done the morning safari and you have done the afternoon safari, how would you design the itinerary so that he gets to enjoy the jungle for its complete offer, not necessarily for a jeep safari? So actually, could you just quickly tell us how a 4-night itinerary would run according to you?
Actually, if you look at the park, and the way the park is laid out, it's very different from the other touristy parks, you can say, like Kana, Ranthambore, Bandhavgarh, Pench. We don't have routes or zones here. So because the entire park core area is a free range, you can enter from anywhere, drive through the entire park. So you can actually help plan the safari and execute it for the guests depending on what level of interest they have and what they have. So this is why we are able to see 18 or 20 different tigers, because when we estimate our 20% of park usage is really you're going across the length and breadth of the park to see wildlife. So a typical 4-night itinerary might not really consume just jeep safaris or might actually consume a range of wildlife activities. So Tadoba offers a real experience where you can roll out the entire park area for 4 nights, 7 nights, 10 nights, depending on what the client wants, or you can mix and customize the experience. So you might want to do a jeep safari and see the tigers. Then you might want to do a walk in the evening. Then you might want to do a boat safari in the morning. The lake is quite big; it's 50 square kilometers. We have only 3 boats that are allowed on the lake. Each boat takes only 6 people. So that allows a phenomenal quality of intimate wildlife experience. This is missing from the other parks where you have many canoes or very noisy big boats like in Kerala. So we have actually, when we planned these experience with the forest department, we have actually looked at a lot of shortcomings that the other destinations were offering and tried to offer this in a way that you get seamless wildlife viewing experience. And this is very key, when you want to deliver to high quality customers, and tour operators, you have to be able to deliver a seamless wildlife viewing experience. And I think
Absolutely.
that is what Tadoba is able to deliver, and we are able to deliver extremely well, in Tadoba. And that's a mix of wildlife watching on the jeeps, boats, hides, cycling, or walking.
Yeah. So like you said, there is something for everybody. Whatever one's interest is there, the complete stay would include all of that. Thank you so much. Sudeep, how would you run a 4-day or a 5-day itinerary of a long stay client with you?
Well, definitely. So one of the first things that I would do is that, as Aditya said very rightly, that first we'll try and gauge the interest of the client. Whether a client is more interested in tigers, whether the client is more interested in nature-based activities, or he's actually interested in a more multifarious kind of an itinerary where he would like to be able to see what's happening with the locals who are staying close by, and not just the wildlife. There are various things that can happen now. Very soon they're starting these. You can actually go and stay in these anti-poaching camps. You can live how the rangers are living at the national park. You can actually go and view wildlife from the waterholes, actually live and see how these rangers live in the forest and how they, go about the day on a daily basis. So while what I would do is, while we would take up different parts of the national park. For example, if we had a client from UK who was more into birding, so then what we would do is, while we would make sure that they see the tigers, we take them to different water bodies, depending on the time of the year. We take them to different areas, the endemic areas within the national park, where we know there's a good chance of getting different types of birds. On one day we'll have the camp experience, the cocoon experience that we do with them, where they're able to camera trap, they're able to walk into these areas, they're able to kind of meet the locals. Then one day we would once they've done their safari, then we would leave the afternoon safari. We do a night safari for them, so they're able to see wildlife at different times of the day. And at the same time, we would involve them in a lot of other activities where they get to meet the locals, they get to understand their lifestyle, their art, their culture, the food, where how this entire area works in terms of farming, be able to kind of see the conservation status of things. So there are multiple things that you can do. So for a birder, we would like to kind of keep the 4 itinerary where they see different parts of the park. They don't go into the jumble of the 10s and 20s of cars where they're going, but they get more of an exclusive experience with our experienced naturalists who are there, who are catering to just those particular needs. At the same time, people who are tiger-centric, as Aditya said very rightly, there are various types, there are various landscapes within. One of the best things about Tadoba is the various different varying landscapes that you can get. You can get those endemic areas with perennial water streams. You can get open grasslands. You can get rocky areas. So you're able to see different types of wildlife, different types of creatures in those different areas as well. So all of that combined together, along with your walks and the cycling and everything, can actually come out to be a very interesting itinerary by the end of it.
Right. Can't wait to get there. I hope this lockdown is lifted and we can all travel to Tadoba soon. You have all literally, taken us there virtually. So while the body is here, the mind and heart is already there. So for all those who are connected, if you have any customer looking at not only the tiger-centric holiday, for a complete jungle experience, because jungles also have their own little culture activity, because there are a lot of tribes around the national park that have been relocated from inside the jungle to the outer peripheries. You can actually spend an evening with them or spend a day with them, see how they live. You can do a little bit of cycling in the rural areas. You can also do a little bit of volunteering. So there are different activities that you can include in your itinerary. It doesn't necessarily have to be a jeep safari only. A complete stay there would include activities of different kinds. So my next question to both of you is that all the parks in India are open only from October to June, and then they close from July to September during the monsoons. Why is Tadoba open even in monsoons? All of us know that monsoons is also a time for animals to recuperate. They also need a little break from too many jeeps and people around them, and they should be left alone for mating and for probably marking their territories, because during this break animals also have their own schedule, they have their own plans. So why would you promote tiger safaris during the rains? Could you just tell us that how the monsoon safari happens in Tadoba, whereas in other parks it's not allowed at all? Yeah, Sudeep, you can go first.
Right. Okay. Pravat, one of the best things, in fact, one of my favorite things to do is to go for a safari in the monsoons. It's not so much about the animals getting disturbed. See, because mostly in the summers is when you see they congregate towards, the last remaining water sources and the water holes in the park. Here, because there's more water, they're spread around. So if really an animal doesn't want to get disturbed by you, then he would not get disturbed by you, because there are different avenues that they can kind of go to. Now, the reason why I feel one of the reasons why Tadoba is still open is one of the way the planning has been done by the forest management is excellent. I mean, most of these buffer areas which are open in the monsoons, it's mostly the buffers that are open during the monsoons. They're all run by EDCs, which are the eco development committees, which are basically being run by the villages where these gates are open. They already generally have a forester within their ranks as well. So what this does is it helps them in not just be able to gain some revenue for these people who are basically living under poverty line, whether it comes through going for safaris, whether it comes through other revenues. It also kind of helps them in being able to monitor and do patrolling inside the park. So a guest like you and me, when they're inside the park, when we're going into the monsoon areas, in a way, the best thing is that we're also kind of patrolling. And to be honest, monsoon is the time when the park comes alive. That's the time when you get to see things that you don't normally see. For example, bullfrogs. So most of the bullfrog mating actually happens around this time itself. Freshwater fish. You get amphibians, you get spiders like the giant wood spiders. You get different types of bird species. You have the summer visitors which are already there. So there are a lot of other things which are happening in the park besides just tiger viewing, which the park is replete with water. At the same time, it's also a great time to see tigers who are actually walking on the roads instead of being out inside the park. And mostly in summers, you'll see them resting inside bushes, and they only tend to come out during when they have to have water at the water holes. But here what's happening is because there's so much humidity inside the bushes, there are a lot of flies and insects, and they have soft padded feet, so they like to prefer to come out on the open roads. So that's a great way to kind of be able to see these animals. It's far more exclusive because there are lesser cars, and it's great for photography because you get that good, that orange shiny coat with the green background at the back. And there's so many other things that a monsoon can offer in terms of the overall feel. The weather itself is spectacular and great for photography because you generally have a filter in terms of the clouds up there as well. So if you ask me, I prefer monsoons over lots of other times as well, over summers for that matter, when it comes to photography and other aspects.
Aditya, are you convinced, or you have another opinion on this?
Well, I think I'm totally for it. But I would say there's another aspect to it. July to September, is a time when a lot of Europe and Americas goes on breaks. The schools and colleges are on break, and especially for an inbound client, that's a real prime time, which India is really geared up for. And monsoon break safaris, where you could do a quick kind of enter in on a Friday and leave back on a Monday, because Nagpur is connected internationally via Qatar Airways, and they service in the Americas to the Europe and everything. So I think that's a fantastic way of connecting it. And because there is connections, we would actually pitch Tadoba as a long stay destination. And I tell you why long stay, because if you look at Tadoba's population, okay, there are 115 tigers, 150 leopards, but if you see the distribution of tigers, a lot of these cubs are actually now in the peripheries around Tadoba. So this year there are around 55 cubs, So out of those 55 cubs, at least 30 to 40 cubs are actually outside the park. And Tadoba has really become a nursery where, you are having spill-off population of 15 to 30 cubs every year from the park outside. And monsoon offers an opportunity where tigers are often seen patrolling the roads because, they don't want to get their feet, with thorns or stuff in it. Their scent markings for their territories wash off in the monsoon time after a shower. So if you go for a drive after a rain shower, you will see tigers and leopards on almost all game trails on roads in and around the park. So that's a real special time. Apart from that, all the summer birds are nesting in Tadoba during that time of the year. You will get to see a lot of bird life. You'll get to see them in a park that's absolutely emerald green in color. So every beautiful, brightly colored bird is going to stand out against them. Deers, they congregate because they're dropping fawns in the monsoon period. So in a time where you'll see maybe 15 to 20 spotted deer in different herds, in the monsoon, you'll see 200, 300, 400 spotted deer, in one herd as you drive past, and so that's really, phenomenal in terms of giving the experience, to the client. So I feel, yeah, monsoon is definitely one of the best seasons to visit, but it's often overlooked because maybe from UK, they don't want to go from one country which is raining to another country which is raining. But for a lot of other countries, America, other European countries, I feel that July to September is a really good time, and we encourage a lot of families to travel, where the kids can do a range of activities where they can get their hands and feet in it, like our farms are growing rice at that time, our farms are growing soybean, our farms are growing cotton. So a lot of this can be packaged as a long stay experience for the clients. So I feel not just tigers, but apart from tigers, the birding, the village experiences, the farming experiences, I think that all opens up a gamut of things that we can provide as a wholesome experience to families who are traveling, and also for volunteers and for kids who are on a break here. I think a long stay trip where we teach them very specific vocational skills. So we train them on bird watching, we train them on tiger tracking on foot, we train them on wildlife management. So we have a range of experts who come in every day. So on a 7-day course, we offer them a range of things that they can learn, and that offers a real vibrant 7-day 10-day course for them. So I think we were able to target the families as well as the kids who are on break here.
Good. Great initiative. So that actually brings me to an end to my questions. But for the sake of so many viewers that are connected from all over the world, I would request or invite both of you to just quickly, run us through your presentations about your properties. So
yeah,
that what kind of lodges you run and why these lodges are so special. Idea is to tell them that we choose only these two to work with, though there are so many properties which have come up. So if you could just highlight the USPs. So we have, say 8 to 10 minutes each for both of you, keeping in mind that it's a working day. People
sure.
have a lot of plans, and I'm sure early in the morning we just ask them to, sit glued to their computers, but we can't really hold them for long. So I'll invite you to, one by one, take us through the presentation. And when I do this, that means we have only 1 minute left. So please help me stick to the schedule.
Sure.
Over to you.
Okay, all right.
So who
Should
wants
I
to start
first?
Yeah, please go ahead, Aditya. Yeah.
Aditya, please go ahead.
Okay, can you see?
Yeah. But it's
I'll
not
just
on full. If you could just enlarge.
Okay, has it enlarged now?
A little bit, but not really full screen.
Okay. What about now?
Yeah, better. So you may start there.
Okay. So, Tadoba, 1700 square kilometers of park, really started out as a 100 square kilometer sanctuary. Today it stands at 1725 square kilometers. Incredible tiger sightings, good bird species. The fact that the park is open all through the year, 365 days, you can do something or the other in the park. So really, opens up the way we can target people across different areas of the world to bring in them and show our rich natural heritage. The park is pretty easy to connect. Nagpur is just 2 hours away, and it's dual carriageway almost all the way through except for the last 20 kilometers. So that way, you know, the connectivity to the lodge from Nagpur airport is damn good. It's it's convenient, it's safe, because a lot of people would like to travel between 3 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock. So you often end up having breakfast, you know, when they arrive in the lodge. So it offers, you know, a dual carriageway, safe way to come into the lodge, and it's connected very well. Then the park. So the park, if you look at the white areas, those are our safari areas within the core of the park. The other gray areas are the buffer areas, which also can be accessed through different gates in the park. The blue circle that I've highlighted is where the lodge is located, right in the center of the park. You know, so accessing either area is very good because it allows you to go to the gate and then decide which area you want to go. Like other parks, you don't have to draw a chit which gets assigned routes or zones. So there are no routes or zones in Tadoba. The entire park is a free range, which helps the naturalist plan your safari and deliver that safari experience to you. This is, you know, a slightly better map of the network of road layout, and you know where the prominent areas of the park are and how the lodge is located right in the center of the park. And then I won't gloss over too much because I think frankly LPTI is very competent to explain and deliver the right areas of the park, you know, for the client. So I've just looked so where the lodge is located, how close the park gate is, you know, within a minute you're actually inside the park, and then the entire layout of the park and the other areas that you can see, like the pontoon safari area. The walking safari areas are just around the lodge, but the pontoon safari areas just south of the lodge. The other gates are also, you know, 15-20 minutes away from the lodge, and the main park entrance is just part of the lodge itself. And you know, the lodge is the units, the number of rooms are actually quite limited. We have only 10 rooms in the lodge, which are divided into cottages and tented camps. So we have a very large landscape of forest, which we've restored actually. So it was completely barren. We've raised the water table and we've grown 4 different kinds of habitats: grassland, forest, riparian. So this has helped us create an ecosystem where we were able to stabilize spill-off population of herbivores. And then once the herbivores started breeding, the carnivores came in and then they have bred and then they have stabilized. So this year we have actually our 3rd generation of tiger cubs being born and brought up in the lodge. And also this year, for the first time, we have both our packs of wild dogs that are denning around the lodge. So the largest pack of Tadoba, which is 16 dogs, is actually denning right just next to the lodge, and they're raising 4 pups. And so this is the layout of the lodge. So the lodge footprint is particularly small because we've kept most of the areas open for walking safaris and photographic hikes. And so the main stream that flows from Tadoba Lake comes through the park and enters into the lodge area, where it flows through the lodge and joins the Irai Lake, where we do the pontoon boat safaris. So that stream actually flows. It's only in the monsoon that it actually flows, and we've created pools of water, you know, which are fed by this monsoon stream, where these pools of waters now hold a large number of crocodiles, you know, a lot of aquatic species are there. So this is all there for the guests, to see, and the camera traps will show you further. So this is basically what the lodge area looks like, you know, any which way you go. This I focused on one particular tent. So we call them wilderness tents because they focus on either a grassland or a waterhole or a patch of forest, you know, which has very specific animal visitation to it. Then we have 2 categories of rooms. One is the Oriole suites, which are larger rooms, and they face forest areas around the lodge, and you can see gore, you know, on the pathways and stuff around the rooms. And the other is the wilderness tents. So the wilderness tents are slightly for the more adventurous, say in terms of who don't, who actually want to see wildlife just around the rooms, you know. And it's a very Africa-esque, you know, for clients who sell a lot of Africa. This is where you'd get a tiger next to your room. This is where you get a sloth bear next to your room. This is where you'll see herds of gore next to your room. So if you're not afraid of seeing and hearing things around your rooms, this is the accommodation for you. For the people who are a little shy of being right out in the wild, then the Oriole suites are for them, you know, and a jeep safari is for them. Obviously, we have swimming pool as part of the lodge. And then these are camera traps. So, you know, the top one is right outside our wilderness tent. The top right one is on the grassland overlooking the Oriel Suites. The bottom sloth pair that you're seeing is actually near our photographic height. So this is a bridge over the Tadoba stream that flows through the lodge, and it becomes a main crossing point for a lot of wildlife that keeps coming in and out of different areas of the lodge forest. And you can see the wild dogs playing around over there. They're raising pups. Both the packs are raising pups. We got two leopards which are incredible, and you can see them do fancy stuff like jump around and stuff. So from the photographic height, we're able to deliver you things that are just not otherwise accessible inside the park. So the idea is to show you a whole range of wildlife, but also to show you in utmost comfort and safety. And so our grasslands are very important because the grasslands help us raise the quality of wildlife sightings, where you have wild dogs coming in them. You have a jungle cat which is trying to catch a peacock. You have wild dogs chasing nilgais. Then we have these water holes which can be seen from the photographic heights. So you'll see them. We have about 7 large crocodiles in them, and they're shy. But if you go closer to the water hole, they quickly go under because they're shy to you. You have to really sit for half an hour, 40 minutes before you can figure out that there's a crocodile. Then you'll start seeing more of them. In the night you'll see eyes floating over the pool, and this interaction of a brown fish owl with a crocodile and something like that. So that's really I tried not to put a nocturnal because we get hundreds of hours of footage every week, and for our naturalists it's a real task to kind of sort out the footage. So but it's to give it's not everything that happens in the lodge, but it gives you maybe a 5% idea of what all happens in the lodge if you happen to be in the right place, at the right time, spending the day in the hide or the night in the hide, or even stuff that happens outside your tent most of the times. So this is the kind of wilderness experience that we would like to provide, and especially for nocturnal activities. Honey badgers, incredible. We've got one hide which almost guarantees you honey badgers from 12 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning, and you'll see this entire sandbar which the honey badgers have dug up, looking for stuff. And we've got video saw lots of pups and stuff. Our team in the lodge, I've included some guest book so clients can read visitor feedback. This is the kind of rehabilitation work that we've done through the past 25 years in the park. And a range of wildlife viewing experiences, from our jeep safaris to our photographic hides. This is what one of our hide looks like, to boat safaris. And you can really mix and match all these for a real world-class wildlife viewing experience. And cycle safaris, walking safaris you can do around the lodge area. And then tribal experiences, you can visit them in the village, have them come to the lodge to make food for you where you can learn it, or really just play a game of cricket with them in the farm. So it's a real world experience. This is something we've been doing for past 25 years, maintaining an entire family tree of different tigers, in the park. So often guests who've come from year after year would say, I would like to see this tiger or this male tiger, Bajrang, or his progeny. I wonder where they are. We saw them as kids 2 years back. So, this is to kind of deliver that experience. Now we have a black leopard. So the only black leopard found in central India. And if you see this photo in the center where Chandrapur stone mark is there, she is about 1 kilometer from the lodge. So the behind her is the Tadoba stream, which comes into the lodge, but she never really crosses that stream. So she is actually in a 30 square kilometer area. And at this point, she's just about 1 kilometer from the lodge. So it really, world-class wildlife experiences, just some images that I'm showing you. And then I've also included some statistics, how one compares Tadoba to the other well-known parks of India and what kind of experience it can provide. So it can help, the tour operators make informed choices. And most important is the prey density, because if the prey density is not here, then the tigers either are not there or they're lifting cattle, which is really poor for the park. So it's really high quality of prey density here. Then a slide that includes what kind of mammal species, reptile species, and birds are available in the park. And then one slide I've included, which the clients can gloss over later, is that about monsoon. Because in a monsoon, people have a lot of questions, because frankly, India has not really sold itself across as a real monsoon destination. So I've just included a few things where the clients can see what are the things that they can see in the monsoon, what are the things that they can do in the monsoon. And with this, I'd like to close down because I don't want to take up too much time. I want Sudeep to also come in. So with this, I'll hand over the thing to Sudeep, and I'll just close down my screen share. Thank you.
Thanks. Because we will be sharing this presentation with everyone, so they would be able to go through it in their leisure time. Over to you, Sudeep, now. Quickly. Yeah, thanks.
Right. Just a second, please. So just to be clear, so are we able to see the screen then, Prabha?
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
It's visible.
So just to quickly thank everybody that, thank you for taking out time and being part of this webinar and giving us this extremely great opportunity to be able to showcase our work, showcase the lodge, and showcase the beautiful paradise that is Tadoba. So to start with, we want to welcome you to Tadoba. Just to give you an overview, although we've already discussed it, so I won't spend a lot of time here. Tadoba literally lies in the heart of the central Indian of the central Indian landscape of the country, and is because of which it's accessible from some of the from this other cities through various means of railways, and airports as well. So we are only about 2 hours away. It's about 110 kilometers. So we are 2 hours away. The lodge is 2 hours away from the Nagpur International Airport. So which is one of the best in connectivity in terms of most other national parks. If you see, most other national parks are taking about 4 to 5 hours on the roads. Here you're there within the lodge in about 2 hours from the closest airport. Just to talk a little about Tadoba, as we already mentioned, it's over 1,700 square kilometers. It's called the jewel of Vidarbha for all the right reasons, because of the immense natural heritage that Tadoba has. To go a little further, this is the map of Tadoba. The blue map that you see is the overall buffers, and this is the overall part of the map of Tadoba Forest. The one in the green is the core area, and the dotted line that you see right here is the tourist side which we can access. Basically, from the lodge itself, we have access to two core gates, which are within about 8 to 10 minutes of driving time, and almost about 4 different buffer gates, which are all again between 20 to 25 minutes of driving time. So you have an access to about 6 to 7 different gates from the lodge, with access to over 36 permits, which ensures that there's almost 100% guarantee that the guest gets to go on a safari through different gates, and we're able to kind of show them different landscapes and different parts of the forest during their stay with us. To now basically get to a bit into a biodiversity, we have our own innate kind of a big 5 keystone species of Tadoba, much like the Africa-esque example. One being the tiger, the leopard, the wild dogs, or the dhole, the gaur, or which is also the largest wild cattle in the world, and the sloth bears. These are the 5 big keystone species of Tadoba that we talk about. Besides this, you get more than 280 species of birds, about 80 mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and whatnot, and butterflies as well. Now, to get a little bit, talking a little bit about the Maori tigers, now, as per the last census that came out, we have about 115 adult tigers and over 150 leopards that can be seen. It's a southern dry deciduous forest, so the sightings are generally great throughout the year, which is why one of the reasons we say that it's almost guaranteed that you're going to see a tiger in Tadoba. There's a high chances of seeing the big 5. You get to see almost close to 40 tigers in the tourism zone alone. Well, in fact, some of our guests have seen close to 25 tigers in six safaris, 25 individual tigers in 6 safaris on their stay with us. Now, as Aditya already mentioned, the black panther or the melanistic leopard is the first of its kind in central India. This is the first time an animal like this, a melanistic leopard, in central India, just to kind of add to the feather in the cap of Tadoba. He's regularly seen almost about 2 to 3 times a week being spotted, and as spotting, in part of the safaris that people are kind of coming to. Don't spend a lot of time here. Again, we've got the different types of deer species, then the antelope species, the rare 4-horned antelope, and the largest antelope in the country, which is the nilgai or the blue bull. Their sightings are excellent around the buffer areas of Tadoba. Now, I want to welcome you to basically the Bamboo Forest Safari Lodge. What I would like to say, and we've been in eco-luxury hospitality since quite some time, where I can actually today come out and claim that we are the only proper luxury lodge in Tadoba. Now, having said that, luxury does not mean sustainability. Luxury can also be sustainable. At the same time, it can be in sync with environment. So what we always say that while you have all the mod cons that are essential to your lifestyle because you're living in the city, at the same time you're amidst nature and you're living with the right kind of principles as eco-friendly property should. So this is what my property looks like. We have a huge lake, almost about 70 acres of lake, and we have private villas on the lake itself. These are the kind, as you can see in the bottom, these are the kind of views you can enjoy from your from your suites, from your cottages and your villas. And these are the kind of entrances that we've designed. We believe in complete attention to detail, because of which currently we're probably the only lodge in Tadoba to have more than 99% positive responses on TripAdvisor and close to 95% retention of guests who have come back to us for more than at least 5 times only in the last 4 years alone. Now, this is when we talk about eco luxury, we are 100% single-use plastic-free lodge. We've always have believed in that kind of a concept. In fact, for all the other properties that we've had, we've been mentioned in over 120 publications across 25 different countries for this particular reason, is that we always believe in keeping a place which is in sync with nature. We use Surki plaster in our place, which is completely devoid of cement, which means that there is a natural way of being able to kind of have a hot climate inside when it's cold outside, or make it warm or make it cold inside during summers. So we've always believed in taking a properties which was degraded land, because when you build in land which was already forested, you tend to degrade it. We had a total of 4 trees when we got this particular land, and as of now we've planted close to 2 lakh trees in the last 5 years and have created a completely different ecosystem altogether in this particular location. We are outside the buffer area, but we get wildlife like tigers and leopards on our lake during all times, because after we build up on this side, all the small time poachers as you come on this lake hunting from the lake have stopped coming. And because we protected this landscape, which is actually the best way to protect any habitat, most of these wild animals have actually returned. Along with, out of the 280 species that I speak about, 150 species are seen in terms of birds are seen at the lodge itself. Now, there are 3 different categories that we have. The most opulent of that are the lakeside bungalows. Now, these are basically spread out over 2,000 square feet. Now, this is what a typical bungalow looks like. Just to quickly go out there. Each bungalow has 2 bedrooms. Each bedroom has 2 bathrooms, one being a powder bath, one being a main bath. Now, this is ideal for a family of 4 to 6 to kind of stay here. So as you see, again, it's basically what you call the luxury is understated, is because we have everything that you see here has been taken from different parts of the country and has been placed here so it's extremely comfortable. At the same time, it's in sync with the environment. Now, these are the kind of rooms that each room is about close to 350 to 400 square feet, has high ceilings, so that you always have space, not just vertically, but also horizontally in both sides. And you're far more comfortable in your room as compared to most other places. There's a different powder bath as well as a main bathroom as well to assist you, especially early in the morning when 2 people have to go for safaris. It's essential that there are access to 2 bathrooms right there and then. This is the private gazebo that all of these areas have, where a private butler is assigned to you in these bungalows as well, who are happy to kind of cater to all your whims and fancies, especially if you want to sit that nice cappuccino early in the morning up on your own private gazebo. These are the private patios with the bungalows alone as well, extremely comfortable, where you can view the lake and you can view the different types of bird life and wildlife from your room itself. To get to the next category, we had the lakeside or the garden villas. These are almost 1,000 square feet villas again. These are all lake facing, right on the lake. You can view the lake right from your room. You can view a lot of bird life from the room and be able to see all kinds of wildlife that comes across this lake, as you can see. Again, big rooms, 4-poster beds, high ceilings. Each ceiling is about 30 feet high, so you get, even in peak summers, your room remains cool at your height at the same time. Again, a few pictures, the bathrooms. We have our own painters and artists who were working in villages before. So we commission them. We send them to different types of schools. And today, these are the people their murals are seen across the entire property, across every room, across most of the other areas as well, for people to see a bit of art and wildlife art while they're staying in our lodge. So these, again, they have the outdoor bathtubs as well, which we fill up on request. So especially after a hectic safari, people can just put their legs up and relax in a nice bath right after a hectic safari. The villas have their own private patios and the private gardens. Just from sitting in these patios, what we call day beds, after a hectic safari in the day, you can relax, put your feet up, sip on a nice cappuccino, and read your book while being in nature. So that's extremely important here. The third being the Lakeview Chalets. These are the first floor rooms. Here we have an option of both twin beds as well as king size beds again. Again, see the quality of what you see in the room doesn't change across the rooms. It's just that additional facilities are there in a bungalow or that. Otherwise, all the facilities, the quality of the facilities offered are all top notch, completely right from the kind of linen we used to the kind of toiletries that you find, and everything else is basically the idea is to have it top notch. You can see, you can assess the size of the rooms that we're offering here, so that even a bigger family of four can they can be comfortable within these rooms. These are the kind of views. Besides the lake views, you get these are the kind of views in the property, which kind of shows you what we have done when I said that we picked up a barren piece of land and turned it into a forest. This is the basic inventory breakup that you get. So we have about total of 23 rooms. And currently, as per post-COVID, we're working on 33% occupancy, 33% things of potential. So we're only opening about 8 rooms currently. But this is the breakup. So we have about 23 different units. Now to come into the common areas, now this is the central building that we have, which houses all the other facilities. This is the library. We have probably one of the most well-stocked libraries in the national park. We have close to about 500 plus books from different areas of the globe, from different authors, where a person can relax, sit down, talk to a naturalist, talk about the experiences, read through some of the coffee table books and the different books that you can get your hands on here. You even have certain private areas where you can, where you can just get away from the crowd and just relax on your own side and enjoy some of these books over a nice cup of coffee or tea. Now, these are some of the dining options that we offer. This is the indoor dining area. Again, high ceilings. There's an entire wall which is covered with a mural. So even when you're sitting and you're eating, you're dining, you're having your dinner, you have a nice mural on the side that keeps you intrigued at all times. Then this is the lakeside dining option. Is partially open, partially covered. So for all kinds of all shapes and sizes of the families that there are, we're able to practice social distancing effectively here as well, and be able to offer a plethora of activities and food, and for people to just enjoy nature from their windows right outside. This is the kind of bush dining options that we're giving you as well for families. We set it up in the wilderness. You can relax, enjoy your meal over a nice hot chapati or the local cuisine which you can offer. Which we have a lot of villagers. We have more than 80% of the people working at the lodge are locals. So we offer you local delicacies, local art and local craft, local dances while you're enjoying a meal here as well. Then some of the private dining options that we offer, especially for couples who want to relax, have their own sweet time in the separate. So we have a lot of these options where we place the settings either on the deck outside or sometimes even right by the lake where they can relax and even dip their feet. These are the kind of celebrations we can do. The idea is to tell you is that we believe as a lodge, it's not just about your wildlife experience. We believe in the overall experience. One of the first things that we always tell our staff is that pretend the guest is not going to see a tiger. Then what will you do to uplift their experience that they don't miss the tiger at all? So that's the general ethos of how we would like to work. Besides the other facilities, so we have an Ayurvedic spa, we have a gymnasium for the health freaks, we have a Taruveda store which showcases all the local art and craft, bamboo work and everything which the locals and villagers are doing, which we showcase in these areas where people can pick up memorabilia from this particular area and actually head back with them when they go back. We have an option swimming pool, which is the Dejao technology, which is the only eco-friendly pool technology in the country. To get quickly now to the experiences, these are the kind of experiences that we have.
Sudeep, we are running short of time, so I think you'll have to quickly, in next 30 seconds or so, browse through the rest of the slides, and we will share your slides with everybody, so rest assured.
Sure. So again, just to quickly get it over, these are the different things you can do from the safaris. We have the only luxury Scorpio vehicle, which is extremely customized for your pleasure. We are also India's first lodge to have country's first battery-operated electric safari vehicle with zero carbon footprint, no sound, and the best way to see wildlife in the park, where it's great for birding because most of the time, because it's got no sound, it's even easier to get closer to these animals. This is India's first community-owned, community-operated nature conservancy that we showcased in the world. We were showcasing in the World Wilderness Congress. We're not taking and buying the land. We are working with the villager as a stakeholder, where they are participant in these wildlife experiences where a person can stay here, and they're also directly making sure that these villagers are now dependent on the tiger instead of thinking of it as a devil or a depriver. Just to basically, this is the view of the camp from inside, completely luxurious, but again, sticking to the commitment that it has to be in sync with nature. These are the kind of camera traps. You can see the lodge, the gazebo at the back. These are the camera traps we get at the lodge as well as the camp. These are some of the camera trapping images of tigers and leopards and everything that we get there. We also have night safari options at Tadoba. These are the kind of different animals you can see with leopards and tigers. Just to quickly take you through beyond tigers, when we speak about beyond tigers, what Tadoba has beyond tigers. So between nature walks and bird watching for all the Twitchers who are interested in finding out the different species of birds at the different types of the year, can go for nature walks. You can get an insight into the macro world of all the different species of amphibians, reptiles that you can see at the property and around. We're the first ones to have a proper young naturalist certified program where where especially with these children who can come walk around the lodge with our naturalist, get to know about the flora and fauna, and we make activity books for them which they can take back home. And before they leave, we make them plant a sapling where we put their name on it, and every 6 months we send them an image of the sapling just to strengthen their bond with nature. We do a lot of wildlife presentations. We work directly with WII, so we get a lot of scientists to come and do presentations for guests, especially the ones who are more scientifically inclined and want to know how a proper, how analysis for wildlife is done. And in fact, some of the best movies, wildlife movies, were in fact launched at our lodge here as well. We also we do only organic farming. So all our guests have an option of being a chef for a day. They can go pick up organic vegetables with our staff and experience the different culinary experiences. In fact, even cook with the staff, with the chefs if they want to, and get that kind of an experience. You get to meet the farmers, the cotton farmers.
Yeah, Sudeep, I'm sorry to interrupt. People are commenting now that they have other commitments. So I think in their interest, we will quickly have to finish the presentation. So how long do you have to go? Can you just quickly?
It'll be about 10 seconds. 10 seconds. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
We're at the end of it. So again, the local tribals, the local culture that we can experience. These are do night trails where you can experience most of the things. We do stargazing. This is our team. Our team consists of some of the best professionals from across the country. And with that, I finish my presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you
I
so
do
much.
apologize for taking so much time.
Yeah. No. Thank you to both of you. It's been very, very educating and enlightening for all of us who are tuned in today. You both are doing wonderful job. Keep it up. We look forward to working very closely. And I'm sure a lot of people who attended the webinar today would be interested in promoting Tadoba and promoting your properties. My very last question, and you will have only 30 seconds to answer. Post-COVID, what measures has your lodge taken in a world, which would be post-COVID, where people would be scared to travel, they want social distancing, they want everything spick and span, they would not like to touch everything or anything around them. So how are you geared up? I mean, what extra effort have you made to welcome the people in post-COVID area? Quickly, please, 30 seconds each.
In fact, in terms of what the government has kind of prescribed, we have taken all those particular steps. We're working at 33% occupancy levels only. There are complete sanitation tunnels which are placed before a guest enters. There are temperature checks done. There is sanitization of the luggage that they come through. Everything goes through a UV scanner so that everything is clean, from vegetables to toiletries to everything that enters the lodge. There's a health inspector, which once the lodge starts in September, the health inspector is responsible for making sure that every room that the guest checks in at least has 48 hours before any other person has stayed in there. The air filters and the ACs are changed. Then again, even social distancing is maintained. The guest is supposed to wear masks. We're also providing masks, branded masks, which we are making ourselves in a working partnership with the villagers, where they are making them and we are kind of putting across to support them as well. And every other measure that a lodge can take in terms of making sure that a guest is safe and sound.
Perfect. That's very encouraging. What about you, Aditya?
I agree with Suhas. The standard operating procedures have already been well defined and laid out by the local administration of Chandrapur district as well as the country. So 33% occupancy, all the hygiene levels, and hygiene is a no compromise, whether COVID or not. The hygiene level absolutely need to be at impeccable levels. But apart from that, in terms of social distancing, because we are quite a widespread camp, and we have only 10 rooms in the camp. So 10 rooms, we're actually operating only 3 or 4 rooms at any single time. So that allows us to spread the clients over the entire property. We will have them or give them options of having food directly around their tented camps and stuff, so that they are actually maintaining social distancing from everyone else in the lodge, plus the option of having wildlife viewing experiences on site where they're actually not necessary to go inside the park to see wildlife. So that, along with our jeep safaris, boat safaris, stuff like that, will help us really stagger clients across the lodge as they come through week after week, but also provide complete safety in highly today our awareness levels for hygiene and safety and mental safety of our guests. Most of the times the guests are over 60, so we have to be really careful on what we are able to deliver to them. So I think that will always be there in the back of our minds when we cater to all our clients through the year.
Perfect. Thank you. So to all our friends and tour operator partners,
Hello?
if you have any questions about Tadoba, if you need to know any other details about how the itinerary is to be made and what is the best time to promote the park and what are the activities available and what are the prices for these properties that we discussed today, do get in touch with your contact, with your relationship manager in our office, and we would be more than happy to come back to you quickly. So thank you once again, Sudeep. Thank you, Aditya. What a wonderful webinar it has been. Thanks for sparing your valuable time, and we look forward to working closely. So thank you so much. All the best for your resorts, and we will be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Aditya. Thank you. Bye.